I have some thoughts I want to get out about quitting and motherhood, and I'll explain how those two relate. So these are all sparked because of an American Idol contestant named Sara Beth Liebe, who I saw her first audition, and recently her Hollywood Week audition aired, and she's being shown as being a quitter because she quit American Idol before she was eliminated. And I have some thoughts about that, as well as the fact that she's a young mom, and that was one of the first things they talked about when they showed her first audition. She's a young mom. I think she has 3 young kids, and I got married young. I have 2 daughters. They're now teenagers, but I very much relate to that experience of being a young mom and the effect that that has on your life. The first thing I want to touch on is quitting. We think of quitting as a really negative thing, I would say generally. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the press, the fact that Sara Beth decided to leave American Idol will be seen as a negative thing. Even in the show, Sara Beth is quoted as predicting that she may go home and regret her choice. And Katy Perry, for a moment, is encouraging Sara Beth not to quit and asking her to stay, see it through, not lose this big opportunity that she has. She also talks about how she understands the love of a mother. Katy Perry is also a mom, but that self-love is as big as the love of a mother. And I can see this being seen, this choice that Sara Beth has made, as losing herself in motherhood. And I have some thoughts about that. First, just on the topic of quitting things and making choices and choosing paths in life. I heard a story once that I won't forget that I think really illustrates this well, about making choices, failing, making wrong choices. I used to see those wrong choices as failure, as things to avoid at all costs, and I see it differently now. So in this story, there is a boy and his dad, I think, and they're stranded and they need to choose one of 2 paths to go down, and they don't know which one is going to take them where they need to go. And they make a choice and they follow the path, and it turns out to be the wrong path, and eventually they come to a dead end. And so they have to turn around, go back to where they started, and then take the other path, which is the right path, but it's a longer path. And as they reflect back on the fact that they chose wrong the first time, they recognize that if they hadn't made the wrong choice first and followed that path to the dead end, then they wouldn't have known that they were on the right path if they had chosen it first. And they may have stopped, they may have given up, they may have turned back, thinking that maybe they had chosen wrong. In this circumstance, it was a good thing that they chose the wrong path first, because they were able to follow it until they recognized that it was wrong, so that when they got on the right path, they could proceed with confidence that they had made the right choice, that they were on the right path, and they could see it through to the end, to the destination that they wanted to get to. So I think about this in life. Sometimes we have to make the wrong choice, or a choice that isn't quite what we wanted, in order to recognize that it's not what we wanted. We need to follow it through far enough to recognize it's not what we wanted, so that when we make another choice, we can feel more confident in our choice, knowing that we didn't want the other one. And we might not realize we don't want the other one unless we try it out first. So, going back to Sara Beth's story, she was recruited for American Idol. She was asked to audition, and this wasn't something she had considered before. She was, living her young mom life and happy, and somebody recognized her talent and asked her to audition, and she decided to give it a try and take the opportunity. And she did that, and she followed that path to a point where she recognized that in this moment in her life where she wanted to be was at home with her kids. And she loves music, and this opportunity opened her eyes to the possibilities that she had in front of her that she may not have recognized before. And there's a very good chance that this opportunity that she took is going to open doors and allow her to pursue pathways in music that she may not have considered before. But is it wrong of her to quit American Idol? Is it a foolish choice to give up on this opportunity? I think both choices could be good choices, but I don't see it as a wrong choice or a foolish choice or anything wrong with the choice that she made. Look inside of her, the way that she felt, and to choose to not to continue, to recognize that she tried this path and it wasn't taking her where she wanted to be. She wasn't feeling good following it, and she wants to go back and follow the other path. And that's not to say that if she had followed the American Idol path, she would be forgetting the motherhood path or anything like that, but she recognized that there were things about one path that she was more drawn to than another. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I'm not just talking about judging Sara Beth's choice. I mean, she makes her choices, she learns from them, she follows her path, it's her life. Of course, it's not up to me to judge, and I don't mean to. I'm trying to use her story as an example for us, each of us in our own lives, to recognize that it's okay to quit, it's okay to change paths, it's okay to recognize that a choice you made isn't leading you quite in the direction you thought it would, or making you feel the way you thought it would, or fulfilling you in the way you thought it might. It's okay to change paths. It's not a big deal if you fail or if you realize the path you chose wasn't the one you wanted to stick with. And finally, the thoughts about motherhood. Before I heard that Sara Beth had quit American Idol, I happened to see one of her Instagram reels pop up on my feed after I had seen her first audition, and I was kind of curious, and I went and looked at her Instagram a little bit, and I came across this one reel. And in regards to the topic of motherhood, it really touched me, and I recorded a video at that time because I was considering sharing my thoughts about it then, and I didn't. But now that I had something else I wanted to share in a video that related to Sara Beth, I decided to include this as well, these thoughts on motherhood. And in a way they do relate back to her decision, in the sense that motherhood and being there with your young children while they're young, there is so much value and importance in that, so much meaning, so much fulfillment, that is a good path, that is a good choice too. American Idol, all of those opportunities that it can provide, that is good, that can be a good path. But it's not an inferior path that she's chosen. And I suspect it is not all based in fear, as it may be portrayed at times in the media. They are two good paths, just like you likely will at times in your life face a choice between two good paths. And you just follow the one that feels right to you in the moment. And if needed, you adjust, you change paths when it feels right. All right, so here is a clip from the past of me reacting to one of her reels from the past.
I saw this reel where this young mom was like, she's a singer, and so she was singing a song and doing a video of herself singing the song. She's standing in the middle of our living room. She starts singing, and then she keeps singing throughout the reel, but at the very beginning she kind of looks off camera and holds her arms out, and her little daughter, who's maybe like 3, I'm guessing, just kind of toddles over to her and puts her arms up, and her mom picks her up and holds her, you know, like puts her arm underneath her daughter's little bum, and her daughter's just like facing her and just like snuggles right into her chest and puts her head against her shoulder, and her mom's singing the whole time. And I'm not laughing because the video is funny. I'm laughing because I'm gonna tear up. There was just something about watching that mom hold her little girl and pat her back, and her little girl just staying all snuggled in, and I could just falling apart. I could just feel that from like 14 years ago or 11 years ago for my girls. And it's so interesting how like wonderful and almost magical each phase of childhood is, each phase of motherhood. Watching your kids grow up and develop and go into different new stages is like the coolest thing. And as much as I freaking love this phase that we're in right now of our girls being teenagers, oh, it's like this mixture of being back there in that moment, holding my little 3-year-old, watching that video, feeling that, and also this like tangible, emotional, and I think it's like physical too, like this ache of missing their 3-year-old selves, their each stage along the way. Like you miss that version of them. You mourn your loss of that version of them. It's such an interesting experience.